We're back at the Law of Ball podcast, and wow, that was a great game we watched last night. Straight movie. New York is now 3 wins away from turning into Gotham, and I'm excited for the rest of the series. Give me 6 more games of that. There's a lot to break down, so let's not waste any more time and get straight into it. The main reason the Knicks won last night was not because of Jalen Brunson, but because of the big man battle between Wemby and Cat. How the Spurs play last night is not how you use Wemby. Cat matches up well against Wemby because he's a threat from deep, which pulls Wemby away from the rim, and then he's a straight line speed to go past Wemby. If we're going to have Wemby play perimeter defense, we might as well just pack it up and go home. What makes Wemby special is his ability to alter any shot in the paint. And we're going to have him guard the perimeter? That's ridiculous. And then on the other end, Cat was doing a great job guarding Wemby. Cat's been fantastic this playoffs on defense, and he continued to do so last night. And I know Wemby shot great from three this playoffs, including some clutch shots. But sometimes Wemby's too in love with his three-point shot. And if you're going to turn into a perimeter player on offense and defense, then you're not taking advantage of what makes you special. The shot wasn't going in last night. And at some point, you need to recognize that and use your body and get to the rim. Attack, use your body, use your height, and get to the rim. I don't need to see a 7'4" guy hitting the corner and top of the backboard and then dribbling off of his feet in clutch time. But the other reason is that Brunson doesn't miss in the clutch. And everyone's better than Brunson until it's time to be better than Brunson. Man, Brunson's just a straight dog. I don't know what else you can say about him. He goes down with an injury early, comes back, shoots it inefficiently, but he stays the course, stays with it, and carries them home at the end. And the Spurs, they just can't be so easy giving him switches. I understand that a lot of teams love switching everything in the three-point era to keep three-pointers in check. But Brunson, he's just not as outside the arc trigger happy as someone like Curry or Harden is for me to feel the need to absolutely switch everything. You can't just let him get these slow-footed wings on him whenever he wants, or you're just gonna get killed all night long. Players like Champagnie, Barnes, they just can't hang with him, and you can't just let him walk into those matchups without any resistance. And additionally, Carter Bryant, he's been absolutely fantastic as a rookie, and you can't ask him to do any more than he's already done so far this season, especially for his experience level. But this series is going to show why coaches are sometimes so much more stricter on rookies than vets. Because as good as Carter Bryant is defensively, Brunson is too good, too patient, and too unbalanced on offense to have a rookie guarding him in the finals. He's going to break Carter Bryant down until he makes a mistake, which he will because he's a rookie, and then get a bucket. If Brunson gets it done and leads the Knicks to the ring, he'll be the first little guard to do so since Isaiah Thomas and Steph Curry, which is some insane company to be a part of. He's one of the best playoff risers of all time, and he might be on path to becoming an all-time great. We'll see if he can get it done and if he becomes the greatest Knick of all time. Right now, I think you still have to put players like Patrick Ewing, Clyde Frazier, and Willis Reed above him. But if he can get this ring, he'll at least have a case. And if he can get another one, it'll be hard to argue against him. I still can't believe the Mavericks had Brunson and Luka on the same team once upon a time. Two great playoff risers, and they just let them go for nothing. But back to the Knicks, in general, I'm just really happy with how the Knicks play offensively. I really like how Hart, Cat, and Alvarado attack the rim. Wemby is obviously an all-time rim protector, and he blocked a bunch of shots last night. But if you're in your head you're already gonna imagine he's gonna block your shot, you might as well make him work for it and prove it. Because you need to get physical with him and wear on him as he hasn't played this deep into the season. Force him to be the rim protector you think he is before you start, playing scared of it. And Wemby, he's just so jumpy right now since he knows he can just use his length to bail him out on any mistakes he makes. I almost argue you shouldn't go for high arcing layups to make the shot against him, but rather just get your body into him and just try to get the ball on the backboard as fast as possible so that when he pins it, it's a goaltending call. I like to see that strategy employed on Wemby at least a couple times just to see how it goes. Since he acts so much on instinct, I doubt he'll be able to react in time to not goaltend. The Knicks bench players though, they did their job as well. Landry Shamet, Deuce McBride, and Jose, as I said earlier, they did their job hitting three-pointers. In addition to OG Anunoby, he hit a couple of clutch threes in the second half. But the Knicks as a team, they didn't shoot very efficiently as they have in the rest of the playoffs, yet they still won by double digits, which is a very, very good sign. Since many people thought that, they just got by through fluky, hot shooting against weak competition. But regardless of how they shoot, Cat and Hart especially, they need to just continue to shoot with confidence. This way they can keep the defense honest and have to commit, to the threat of them shooting from deep. When the defense is scared of you pulling from deep, it opens up everything else on offense. And the scary part, if you're a Spurs fan, is that the Knicks didn't shoot that well, yet they still won by double digits. The formula to beat the Knicks was what? Force them into a cold shooting night and then survive and win. And they got the cold shooting night, but they didn't win. So what can the Spurs do defensively differently next game? It starts with Wemby. As I said, get Wemby's big body out of the perimeter. You're having the best perimeter breast rim protector in the game, 25 feet out from the hoop. Have whoever else you want guarding Cat, like Vassell, and make Cat prove on Vassell that he's going to punish him from that far before you respect him like he's Steph Curry. Wemby was all up on Cat as if he was Steph Curry before Cat didn't even made a three. And when you commit that far up, you're just asking to be blown by. So have Vassell guard Cat on the perimeter. Don't commit that far up, and if Cat and let him prove that he's the threat that you think he is. And if he proves to be that threat from deep, then you think he is, then at least Vassell is more likely to keep up with Cat on the perimeter. And even if Cat blows past him, now he has to see Wemby at the rim. Now he has resistance at the rim. That's way better than what Cat blowing past Wemby and being no resistance at the rim. That makes no sense. Your best rim protector is just out of the play completely. Have Wemby in the paint, ready to guard the Cat blow by, if he even blows by Vassell. Another thing is on the perimeter, you need to fight over screens. The Spurs are the younger and more athletic team. We should not be so easy and so ready to switch. Chase over screens, recover, stay attached. It's the finals. Fight. Stop giving Brunson easy pickings. And please, just dare Hart, find a way to dare Hart to be the scorer. You know, Hart was an absolute dog last night. I mean, like, what a wild stat line. He went 1 of 5 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3, for just 4 points. But he had 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and a block. Josh Hart is an absolutely fantastic connector and energy player. And you just can't, when you let him be an off-the-ball player, crashing the boards, you know, playing free safety on defense and finding open players in the open court. When you let Hart do this, you're allowing the Knicks to be the best version of themselves. He killed the Spurs last night with energy. He was winning 30-70 balls. And you can't let him play this type of basketball. You need to turn him into a scorer. He's shooting 30% from 3 this playoffs? He shot 0 of 3 from 3 last night. In basketball, you can't take everything away. In every defensive game plan, there are trade-offs being made. But in every decision, by picking something, you're giving up something else. So if I'm San Antonio, I'm making my choice. I can't live with Brunson getting downhill and beating me. I can't live with him, getting these easy pick switches and then going downhill and beating me. I can't live with Cat attacking closeouts and beating me. I can't live with OG getting into a rhythm from the perimeter and beating me. But you know what I can live with? I can live with Josh Hart being a scorer, taking 5 to 7 threes a game. Especially since I don't even know if he'll take that many threes with confidence, since he'd probably rather, do a DHO. It's a pick your poison league. And if I'm the Spurs, Hart being a scorer is my poison. But, take a step back, of course, not everything was bad for the Spurs. There were some bright spots, especially in the first half of the game. Champagnie hit 5 threes in the first half, and he was really feeling himself. He was just out there talking to everyone, including Jose Alvarado. It'll be a really interesting dynamic this series with Alvarado on the Knicks. He's someone who's not afraid to talk trash, and I hope to see him and Champagnie continue to go at it back and forth. In fact, little fun fact, Alvarado and Champagnie, they went to rival high schools, which is probably why they were chirping at each other. And that dynamic is really interesting. And, maybe someone with a fiery personality like Castle will join in as well. But about Champagnie, if you're the Knicks, no matter what, you cannot be cheating off of Champagnie. If you're guarding him, you're face guarding him. You cannot leave him. I like the idea of tagging Wemby when he's in the paint. No Wemby dunks, but not tagging off of, not helping off of Champagnie to tag him, off of anyone but Champagnie. And additionally, although Hart did great rebounding the ball, as I said last episode, the Knicks need to box out. Champagnie grabbed 3 offensive boards. Vassell grabbed 4. Wemby grabbed 3. Castle grabbed 3. Defense doesn't end when the shot goes up. It ends when you have the ball in your hands. Every offensive board is another opportunity for the Spurs to shoot the basketball. The Spurs killed the Thunder on the glass in Game 7, and that's why they won. The Spurs almost came back in Game 1 against the Wolves because Champagnie grabbed a couple offensive rebounds late in the game. The Spurs are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in this playoffs. This isn't new. So when the shot goes up, the Knicks need to start hitting bodies. And if the Knicks could cleanly end more defensive possessions, they'd be playing almost perfect basketball. Another player that deserves a shout-out offensively is Harper. That guy's looking scary. It seriously makes no sense. How is he a rookie? How is he playing this good? How is he playing this at 20 years old? He looks like he wants to win the Finals MVP as a rookie. You could see it in his eyes. He's like a killer looking for blood, and no one is safe. He was getting to the basket at will against the Knicks defense. He's the first rookie to score double figures in the opening quarter of a Finals game in the last 25 years. And this was his first ever Finals game. And he's already surpassed David Robinson for the most points by a Spurs rookie in a single playoff run. Every second he's on the court, the Spurs need to be getting Brunson on him and letting him get to work. If I'm the Spurs, when Harper's on the court, I'm doing two things. I'm getting Harper the ball, and then I'm asking where Brunson is at. Attack Brunson every time down, like how he's doing to Champagny and Barnes. If he's going to score 30 on one end and hunt mismatches, you need to do the same thing to him. Hunt him. Make him work on defense. Brunson is too small to stop Harper from getting downhill. And, man, as Harper continues to polish himself offensively, especially if he gets a more consistent shot, he's going to be a nightmare for the rest of the league. However, the Spurs have a backcourt problem. Harper clearly played great last night and was their best scoring option on a night where the Spurs could not consistently generate good looks. But what can Mitch Johnson do? The problem is that the Spurs' most reliable ball handler and playmaker is not a reliable scorer. Fox is historically the most secure with the ball out of the three guards from Fox, Harper, and Castle. And he was making some nice passes, especially in the first half, to end the first half. And Mitch Johnson, he definitely doesn't trust the Hart and Castle backcourt. They're too volatile together. When in the playoffs, every possession matters. You know, and Castle already proved he's two turnover prone without Fox, and Harper can be sloppy with the rock as well at times. And you have to keep Castle out there for his perimeter defense. So that just leaves Harper as the odd man out. But when you have Fox out there breaking shot after shot, turning the ball over anyways when he's supposed to be the one saving the team from turnovers and committing dumb fouls, then it's just a recipe for disaster. So if Fox isn't giving you scoring, he's not protecting the basketball the way he's supposed to, why is he out there? Because Mitch Johnson has no choice but to trust him. He has to trust him. And that's the Spurs' problem. They can only go as far as Fox takes them, as far as Fox goes. But despite Harper and Champagny playing well offensively, the Spurs played terrible. I mean, it looked like, you know, they were trying to help with affordable housing with the amount of bricks they were throwing up. In this economy, maybe I'm not complaining, but there are a couple of things the Spurs can do to make their offense easier. One, you need to make Cat guard in space. Involve him in the pick and roll. As long as Cat is on the court, you're involving him in the pick and roll. He's going to play drop. He's going to be playing drop coverage all night. So that opens up so much space for the attacking player on the perimeter. And secondly, Cat has this weird thing where he likes to jog backwards on defense, and Wemby needs to attack that. You know, the Knicks, as I said, defensively they're employing a no Wemby dunks no matter what strategy, and just test how far they want to take it. Sprint to the rim after setting the screen, and this forces whoever's guarding the corner to play help defense, which opens up shots for players like Champagny. And if we're staying home on shooters, then that's a free dunk every time. Please, Wemby, dude, you're special because you're 7'4". Play like you're 7'4". You're not a guard. Stop falling in love with your shot. If it's going down, great, fantastic. You're unguardable at that point. There's nothing the Knicks can do. But sometimes we just need to put pressure on the rim and get free points. Especially if Cat's going to lackadaisically jog backwards and give a free pass to the hoop with no resistance. Cat is fine when he has to guard one person, but when you make him guard in space and make decisions, he's not as good. And so Cat, please Cat, just stop doing that. You're forcing the weak side defender to make a choice, and neither of which are good. They have to come try to stop Wemby when they're way smaller than him. There's nothing you can do in that situation. Or they're giving Champagny or Vassell or someone a wide open shot. You're already the MVP of last game, but please just tighten this up. And quick side note, another thing that Cat did great was avoiding foul trouble, especially in the first half. One of the reasons I was against Cat guarding Wemby was because of how foul prone he is. But he did a great job, last night staying disciplined. And Cat loves to reach sometimes. And if he just keeps his hands up, he'll be able to stay on the court. But anyways, back to the Spurs defense or offense. And actually this type of offense I'm trying to describe for them to employ more with Wemby setting screens, it means the Spurs need to run more stats on offense. The Spurs are not going to win the series off of Wemby ISOs. The Spurs do good when Wemby is setting screens to start the offense, not when he's initiating the offense himself. And we don't need to see him trying to cross people up on the perimeter. When that happens, no matter what the result is, the Knicks won that possession. He doesn't even have like a go-to move. Which he desperately needs. He needs something other than like his spin move, like maybe a hook shot or something. Wemby's hook shot is genuinely just unguardable. Kareem's was, and Wemby's even bigger and longer than he is. We can't just be dribbling into traffic and launching up shots. It's the NBA Finals. We need to be running half-court sets and getting players in matchups and spots they're comfortable in. And playing with sets in the half court also forces defenders to make decisions. Do I go over or under the screen? Do I stay home or do I help? Are we switching? Forcing multiple decisions also is more likely to cause miscommunication, which is exactly what the Knicks did to the Spurs, with multiple screens on and off the ball. Sometimes Castle, he would want to switch, but then Vassell wouldn't want to, and now someone's open. Or someone wants to go over a screen, but the other person is playing drop, and now the ball handler has space. That is exactly how the Knicks beat the Spurs, and the Spurs would do so much better, having a more unpredictable offense. The Spurs only had 16 assists, and that's on the coaching staff, because that game plan wasn't an offense. It was relying on talent, and talent can win you a game in November. It can win you a game in January. It can even win you a playoff series, or two. I guess for the Spurs, 3. But it's the NBA Finals, and you need structure. And I guess, for me, this just goes to show what a lot of people don't understand in terms of how experience really does matter in the playoffs. A lot of people say experience is overrated, and if you're better at basketball, you can just win. But that type of thinking sort of implies that you disagree that you'll get better at something the more times you do it, which I think most people would intuitively agree with. And the Knicks have been in this type of situation more times than the Spurs have. Like, the deeper into the playoffs you go, the game, it generally tends to slow down. And if it comes down to who's going to make a mistake, and then when it slows down, it comes down to who's going to make a mistake and who's not. And veteran players and veteran teams, they know where their spots are. Like, Brunson's played in so many close games that he knows where he wants the ball and how he wants to attack. He understands all these angles and matchups. It's almost like muscle memory to him. Everything is intentional. Whereas for Wemby and the others on the Spurs, it's sort of like, oh, I caught the ball here. Oh, I guess I can do this. Oh, I feel like doing this. It's like vibes. And of course, vibes. It sometimes can win. But would you rather, over the course of a 7-game series, rather have someone who's doing things intentionally or accidentally? And I think as I talk through this, a common theme is reflected here. In the playoffs, generally the team that will win is the one who can force other players to be someone who they're not. Teams do hours and hours of scouting to try and take away what the other player does best. What each player on their team does best. But who can counter that? Which team can counter those adjustments? The team that does so more effectively will win. Brunson got to be Brunson. Cat got to be Cat. OG got to be OG. The role players did their job for the Knicks. But was Wemby Wemby? He got turned into a 7-4 shooting guard. Was Fox Fox? He went from a reliable ball handler to a bad decision maker. Was Vassell Vassell? The Spurs are going to need to figure out how to help their players play to their strengths through the flow of the offense while taking away from the Knicks what makes their players special and disrupt their flow, which is what the Knicks did to them. If not, the series is going to end in 5 games. But one thing that the Knicks did that I didn't really like, which is why I think they were down early, was playing fast. I don't see the point in playing fast against a younger, more athletic team. At that point, you're gambling, and you're letting the young players play young, which is the advantage of the Spurs. Who's going to tire first? Not the young athletic players. And Mike Brown, he said he doesn't want to play the Spurs in a set defense because of how good they are at defense, which is why he wanted to go out and run. But that doesn't really make any sense to me. The Knicks are the more experienced team. And as I said, when you slow the game down, it comes down to who will make more mistakes, which is more likely to be the more inexperienced team. So that's the Knicks' advantage. When you play fast, you play risky, which is how the Spurs want to play. So if the Spurs can keep the Knicks playing fast, that'll definitely be to their advantage. So, what do I think will happen in Game 2? Well, this is a must-win game for the Spurs. You can't go down 0-2 heading into New York. And historically, teams that lose Game 1 at home tend to win Game 2 relatively comfortably. It's a tale as old as time. And I believe in the Spurs to make the right adjustments. Wemby last series, he did have games where he was settling for shots too much, but then the next game he came out and attacked the rim. So I think he does well in making the right adjustments. And so I don't think that would stop now. And if Wemby attacks the rim hard, it also makes it more likely for someone like Cat, who is already prone to this anyways, get into foul trouble, which also takes away from his offensive versatility that you're having trouble dealing with. And I think another player to watch for is Vassell. I think he's the second best player on the Spurs. And if the Knicks are going to stay home on Champagny, then the Knicks are going to have to help off of Vassell. So it'll be up to Vassell to take advantage of that defense. And additionally, I would just like to see Vassell, more involved defensively. And finally, Fox. He is going to need to step it up. That's just plain and simple. If the coach is going to trust you playing in crunch time, then you have to figure out a way to get it done. Otherwise, Mitch Johnson is going to have to think about making in-game adjustments. Maybe bringing in Harper if Fox isn't playing stabilizing basketball anyways. So yeah, the 3 things is Wemby paint touches, Vassell scoring, or just Vassell's involvement in the game, and Fox stepping it up. Those are going to be key if the Spurs want to tie the series heading into New York. But for the entire series, I think the Knicks will win in 6. I think their game plan last night, offensively and defensively, is repeatable. They just happen to miss some shots. And as long as they tighten their defense, grab boards, slow down the pace, I think the Knicks are going to walk the Spurs down. The Knicks showed the Spurs what finals basketball is about. Every possession matters. Every rotation matters. Every mistake gets punished. And the Spurs, they don't have the outside shooting capability other than someone like Champagny to punish the Knicks loading up in the paint. And the Knicks also have too deep of a bench for the Spurs to handle. For the Spurs, it's sort of Harper or bust, while the Knicks have Shamet, McBride, Alvarado, and Mitchell Robinson to come in and be fresh bodies. And the Spurs, they're probably already a little bit tired, coming into the series. So if it becomes a war of attrition, the Knicks will win. So can the Spurs respond and win in game 2? Maybe. Probably. But that's just a battle. And I think the Knicks will win this war. Bing bong.